Hello everybody, this is Mystic Games and welcome to our tier list of Against the Storm buildings and species. You can see buildings is next on my little tab up here. We're going to start with species though. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. I'm going to start with that. If you guys like, subscribe. It helps the channel out. I appreciate it. And it was awesome to get to know everybody. One of my biggest things for doing this is just to get to see the comments and just be able to chat with you guys. So please leave comments. It's super important to me. I do appreciate it. And tell me what you think. Because this is very, very dependent on the person, I feel like. So let's jump into it, guys. So for the species we're going to start, we're going to go with beavers first. I think beavers are S tier. They chop wood really well. They make planks really well. I feel like out of everything in the game, wood and planks are probably the most important resources to be the fundamental building blocks of your base. And if you do not have good access to it, you will probably lose, or you're going to have a harder time. My games tend to go smoother when I have beavers, I feel like. That being said, they are just really good at that kind of stuff. But other than that, they are decent workers in the sense that I think they have a 2-minute before they need to rest timer, which makes them usable in other buildings as well. Next, we're going to go with the fox. The fox is a great scout, just so everybody knows. And they're decent in the hearth. And they're good with water. That being said, their houses suck to make. So out of all the species, I'm going to put them in D tier. By the way, they're not D tier in the sense that they are horrible and they have no promise and they're just useless. I have 5 tiers and I have 5 species, so each tier is going to get 1 box. I don't like foxes. Now, again, they have their uses, and they aren't bad. Nothing is bad. I just don't fundamentally like playing with foxes. The scouting can be helpful in Glade if you need the timer increase. And the hearth, as I said, is okay with the decrease in hostility. I just feel like there are better options overall for those things. Next is the harpy. In the harpy, I'm going to put in C. They have a very, very, very strong hearth bonus. I actually would argue that their hearth bonus is the strongest in the game, I think. At least the way I play. And that's very important. It allows you to carry more goods overall, which I think is just very good for your overall production and ability to make and just move things around quickly. Humans are A. A tier. They're good farmers, and fertile fields, if you have them in your map, are really, really strong if you make good use of them. Humans do that extremely well. I think they almost get like a 20% chance of doubling. If you count the storm bonus and then you count the bonus that they just get, I think it stacks and gives you a 20. And then once you have the hearth maxed out to 3, I think it's like a 30% chance that they double the production of your fertile soil. So that's really good. Food is strong. Having, a good access of food where you don't have to keep popping open more glades is really good. So I do really like humans for that. That being that, the last but the Z not least is the lizards. The lizards are very good. Now they do have the lower work timer, so they take more breaks than some of the other races other than harpies, but they are good in food production buildings, like almost all of them. They are good in the hearth. They are probably the second best hearth upgrade in my opinion. Hearth bonus under the harpy, and they just have a lot of uses in production buildings, I feel like, whereas a lot of the others do not. So I think they are one of your go-to species when you're trying to make better use of production buildings, especially food buildings like the bakery, which I'm a big fan of. So that's my tier list for species. I'm going to jump right into it, and we're going to do buildings quickly. I already have talked about buildings and kind of done my thoughts on the buildings in a separate video, but not in a tier list, so we're going to just throw them in a tier list quick. Advanced rain thing, I'd say it's C. I don't think it does a advanced rain collector. It doesn't do what it does good, but it's just unnecessary. There's better ways to collect rain. Alchemist Hut is, I think this is a B tier. It's an okay building. Apothecary, I think, is A. I want to say this is the building, because Tea House looks similar, but I think it is the Apothecary. This one I think is pretty good. I think this one is the one with oil. Artisan, it's B. It's good. It has coats. I think this has coats, barrels, and I'm not sure if it's pigment. I want to say it's pigment, but that could be wrong. It's decent. It's a mid-tier building. Bakery is S. For me, I almost always pick bakery. There's very few buildings that I feel like I almost always choose. In bakery, if I see it, it's almost always a pick, because it's almost always beneficial to enough of the species that I have in play that I want this building. Bathhouse. I think that's D tier. I'm putting it in D tier, and I can't remember what its bonus is. I just don't think it's good. Because I can't think of what its bonus is, it's going in D tier. Because if it's something I don't use, it's probably something I don't value. The beanery is pretty good. I'm putting it in A tier. I believe it has high porridge on there, which is good. Brewery. People are probably not going to like this. This is probably a hot take for people that play this. I think it's a B tier. I don't like a lot of buildings that require you to produce something that needs to be used in a service building. I don't rate them highly, because it's like you have to make it, then you have to move it to this building, and then you have to have a guy in there as well to make use of it. So the brick oven I place in S tier. Pies are generally very good for a lot of the species, and it's the best pie building. It also has a lot of slots to make pies. Brickyard. Brickyard is S tier. It's very niche. We'll put it in A tier because, well, no, it is S tier. It's a 3 for your, it's the cheapest way to make bricks. If you want to make bricks, it's a solid choice. Butcher. I'm actually going to put Butcher in A too. I highly value a lot of food buildings, just so you guys know. The Butcher is like an all-around, and it has oil. I think it's jerky, oil, and skewers. I believe I'm correct on that. And again, this pairs well with the bakery if you need those other things. Like, these two go good together. That's why I tend to pick the Butcher a lot too, because sometimes I might need jerky or skewers, or I need both. So it just gives me access to both for a middle cost. Forager, C. Herbalist, C. Trapper, B. I value the Trapper slightly higher than these two, and I don't think these two buildings are great. I think you really should be looking for fertile soil most of the time. If you're in a map that doesn't have fertile soil, which is the one with the mushrooms, where is the... I don't think they even put the lumber collecting building on here, which is funny. It would be the lumber collection building that I would value, because there's certain perks and cornerstones. If you roll them and you are in that map, it will help really reduce your food worries, put it that way. But the Trapper is useful in that map because there's not a lot of herbs or foraging stuff. So, and that's probably where this is the biggest and most useful one. Carpenter is one of my favorite buildings. I almost put it in S, but I do like the lumber mill more if I get the ability of it. But I do like the Carpenter. I don't think it's a bad building. I really only use it for making planks. Again, I don't like crafting things that require me to craft something else to then put into that item to craft it. If anything takes more than one step, once I have the resource collected, it tends to feel like a waste of time. The cellar is not bad. It's also a very small building. Clan Hall, I feel like, is actually a good building. For some odd reason, I feel like this has a good bonus. I'm putting it in B because I can't remember. This is not one of my favorite choices. Clay Pit, I hate. This is like a waste of fertile soil. Like there's niche reasons I might use it, but I generally don't. Same with the greenhouse. It's very niche for me. I'd rather use other fertile soil buildings, which we'll do all those once I get to the farm. Clothier is S tier if you have harpies, humans, and beavers together. This is really good because it reduces the time to make coats, and it will make coats cheaper, and all those species need it. That's one of my favorite combos, and I do like the clothier even if I only have 2 species that require clothes. Cookhouse, I do like the cookhouse, but I tend to like the bakery, brick oven, and the butcher more, so this one will go there. Cooperage, C tier. I don't even know what this does. I can't. Most of these buildings I have some idea of what they offer. This one I don't, and therefore it's probably C tier. Distillery is A tier, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, I honestly don't remember what the distillery does off the top of my head, but I know that I pick the distillery sometimes. It's just, I'll put it B tier. It's average. I don't pick it as much as I pick these buildings. The Druid Hut, again, I'm going to put this in B tier, but I actually find this to be more useful than... Actually, you know, we'll even do some of this here, moving around a little bit. Like, this would be my B tier right now, actually, in the Artisan, and then the rest of them I really... These 3 I would put in high B tier, and these I would put in lower. Explorer's Lodge, I've picked that before. I think it's better than the Clan Hall. I think it's better than the bathhouse. Forum is probably one of the better service buildings. This one I think doubles your chance to double yield by like 10 or 15%, I want to say. So you can get pretty high with that and pretty much be double yielding everything. So out of this is going to be a very interesting take, and this is where, if you're going to comment, right, I want your opinion, because I'm actually intrigued with people's opinions on fertile soil buildings, because this is something I've went back and forth on what my old favorite is and what my new favorites are. But I think the farm is C tier. Out of all of them, I don't think it's as good as the plantation. I don't think it's as good as the herb garden. Actually, you know what? We're gonna put this in B tier. This is like a solid middle. If you have to pick something, it's still good. Foresters next, and we're gonna put that in C tier. That is a fertile soil building. I only pick this if I have a lot of fertile soil and I need crystallized dew for foxes generally. Herb garden, A. I think the herb garden is better than the farm. And I'm going to put plantation in S. I think the plantation is the best one. The only thing I will say is there's a cornerstone that you can get, which is the mushroom one that's a legendary. If you get that with the plantation, most of your food concerns and production concerns are taken care of. Well, pretty much almost all your food concerns are taken care of, at least. And then you have the access to clothing at that point because you had the plant fibers from it. So yeah, I just think it's good. The only if you get that cornerstone, it's amazing. If you get herb garden and you don't have that legendary cornerstone, or you never pull it, I would argue this could be S tier, like it could beat the plantation, but I feel like it's very close. Anyways, furnace. Furnace is decent. I'm gonna put it in A. Granary, S. Pickled goods, 2. Fabric, 2. Packed crops, 2. So everything's useful in that building. Grill. I feel like the grill is... I'm trying to think. It's the grill and the smokehouse that are 3-star. We'll put them together in A. One does jerky, one does skewers. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which one does what. But they are both good if you need those at 3 stars. Guild House is a really good building. I'm actually trying to consider the service buildings because I honestly very rarely get to use my service buildings unless I really attempt to make good use of service buildings. I normally focus on food production to get my resolve high enough to win. I'm going to say Guild House is A. Honestly, it could be an S tier building. It's really good. I haven't put it in an S. Leather Worker. This is an interesting one. I'm going to put this in B or A. I'd rather have the granary for the fabric, and I'd rather have... It does good on water skins is what it does. I normally don't have access to good ways to produce water skins. Lumber Mill is A or S tier for me. I think Lumber Mill is just a solid choice, like especially if it rolls in one of your first 3 building rolls. Like you just know you're going to have easy planks, which can allow construction to be very manageable. And it's also a 3-star plank, so it has the highest production speed, which makes it like you can just pump them out. If you get 1+ to planks, your wood is even to your plank production. It's 1 per 1. So the manufacturer, this is C, and I'm putting it there because I don't know what it does. Market is A. It has a good bonus. It pretty much does the same thing as the Harpies bonus in the Hearth. Actually, I think it's better. I think it's 10. I think the Harpies is 5 in the Hearth, and this gives you 10. Which, if you have them together, that's 20 total carry weight, which is pretty nuts. Monastery is not bad, but I'm putting it in B. The Press. Press is A. I think it has flour and it has oil. It has it's a plus. It's a 1-star, I believe, flour. So it's not great, but it has oil, which is good. And it gives you the ability to make flour if you don't have butter. Provisioner I put in S. It gives you packed goods or packed trade goods, so that's for the trader, so you can trade and make amber. It makes them at a reduced cost. And then it has flour production, and it has, oh my god, I can't even think what the other item is. It has something else. It's not the other middle choice. I think it's barrels or something. It's okay. I want to say it's barrels off the top of my head. It's okay to have. Rain Mill is S tier. It's the best flour production. I do tend to like to pick the Rain Mill because as I said, I'm a food-focused player generally. And having access to 3-star flour is nice. I normally only need 1 to 2 people in here to make all my flour production requirements for multiple brick ovens and bakeries and everything else going on. The Ranch is very niche, but I'm going to put it in A because I think it does have a good amount of uses. Scribe, B. Smelter, C. Smithy, C. These are all to make like tools and stuff. Unless you're doing really good or you're just not getting any other buildings and all you are getting are production buildings like to make tools and stuff, it's just they're not that great. The Stamping Mill is probably B. This is flour. Oh my god. Pottery. Wait, is it flour? It's pottery for sure. I think it's 2-star flour and 3-star pottery, but I could be wrong about that, guys. It is a good building. I do pick it sometimes, but the buildings above it I tend to pick more often. The Supplier I put in B as well. It's one of these buildings that I might pick, but the buildings above it I like better. Tavern. I feel like the Tavern isn't very good. I think it gives global resolve, but I can't remember like how it works off the top of my head. Tea Doctor and Tea House. I can't remember the bonuses on these two. We're gonna put them here. Temple is one of my favorite service buildings especially for the seal maps. It can be very good. It reduces hostility for burning stuff. So Weaver, we will do now. Put that in S tier. Although I will argue that out of all the buildings, like the Brickyard, the Lumber Mill, and the Weaver, each of them does like their 3-star production, I feel like the fabric one is the least useful because I tend to like the granary. And even though it's 2 stars, I just tend to not need fabric enough where I need 3-star production. I would also make the same argument for Brickyard. They are still good though. I just think the lumber mill is a overall better choice. The workshop is okay. There's a couple ways I'm looking at the workshop when I think about it. If I get this in my first choice, like when I roll, this is probably S tier because it gives me 2-star everything. Fabric, bricks, and planks. And when I get it there, it just pretty much means I don't have to worry about getting it for getting the lumber mill, getting the brickyard, or getting the weaver. But I think it's A tier because I do think that having the production bonuses from the lumber mill, brickyard, and weaver outdo the workshop in that sense. But if you don't, like say you in your first 3 blueprint choices you don't get anything to produce like planks or bricks or fabric, this is a really solid choice. The workshop is to make up for that. So the Tanctuary, I'm actually gonna put this in A. It's one of those buildings that I do oftenly pick even though I don't think it's a great building. The Tinkerer is B and the Tool Shop is B. So yeah, that's my tier list for buildings and my tier list for buildings. I hope you guys enjoyed, and look forward to more Against the Storm content. I'm probably going to do a couple more. I know I'm going to do a review on the game eventually. I got to kind of compile that and get my thoughts together and all the different stuff I want to rate. So anyways, I'll see you then. Enjoy. Have a great day. Mystic Games out.